Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Generals Joe's reborn.com with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly!
Yes, it is. It's the Full Force Weekly. Welcome, Pat. How are you doing, buddy? It's been a couple of weeks since I last saw you on the show.
Yes, it has been a little while. It's been, we've had one reason or another that we haven't both been on every single time. And last week I was just at Assembly Required was the only reason why I wasn't there.
Did you have a good time?
I did, yeah. It's, as always, Assembly Required is a good time every single time.
60% of the time it works every time. I did miss that. I missed Assembly Required. It's probably my
noticed.
Favorite.
A lot of people noticed. A lot of people were asking me where you were, and it's like, well, he's busy.
Well, he's got better things to do. Is that what you told them?
Yeah, that's what I
said. So we'll be doing shout outs at the end for all that. So you can shout out all the people you hung out with and all the cool stuff, and you can tell us all about it then. There hasn't been a massive amount of news this week, but thanks to us and getting lots of code words and all sorts in, we've kind of got one hell of an episode to get stuck into, really, still, haven't we?
That's awesome. Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. You're right. Let's do it. First up then, and starting with a little bit of exclusives for store exclusives for Target and Walmart.
In terms of your usual weekly news, we didn't have a great deal to get stuck into this week. However, a number of store exclusives have started to show up in both Walmart with Shooter, Mole Rat and the Crimson Alley Viper, and Target with the Python Officer Trooper Officer appearing prior to its official shelf date of November 26th. In addition to that, we were sent a stack of brand new listings and we were able to decode some of them, which turned out to be quite the volume of information. So let's get stuck into Pat's favourite subject matter.
I had to throw that in at the end. I'm sorry. Also, do you like the fact I do not call it the Cobra Officer? I have to call it.
Oh, I love the fact that you acknowledge that it's the Officer Trooper Officer. That's what it is. It's the Officer Trooper Officer.
100. That's got to be the name now. The Cobra Officer Trooper Officer. Anyway, yeah. So this is the first bit of news that we had in the classified sphere, Pat. And that is that we're seeing stuff turning up already in Walmart. I'm going to put this one up and just ask you a quick question here. What do you think? Do you think they're clearing these out purposefully, or do you think that's an accident?
No, this happens all the time in Walmart with various toys, that they get a little bit confused whenever something comes in. If it's not listed as the current item somehow, it'll actually get, if it shows up on the floor too early, it'll sometimes get clearanced out. I've actually gotten lucky and found some things that way. I think that's how I got Hound from the Transformers
Siege.
No, the reissue line that's based on the '86 movie.
Studio series.
No, the reissue line, the Generation 1 mold. In movie.
I'm with you now.
Yeah, there's just so much to buy. See what it is? Which Hound? We're talking, you can just talk about a bazillion things, but so I think I got him. I got the Skeletor on the flocked Panthro for the Mega Constructs line for like
nice
$4 or $5 at the time that it came out, when it should have been like 15. Yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff that they'll just clearance out as soon as it shows up. So I think that's what this is. So sometimes if you see clearance this early on, it just means, hey, expect these in the next month at your Walmart at full price.
Because even though we have been seeing a lot of clearance stuff with the classified series to make way for all the new stuff that's going to coming through, this did seem a little bit premature, even for the kind of current climate we're in with in terms of the G.I. Joe classified series. So in any case, Walmart, they are showing up. I do have mine. Massive shout out, by the way, to In Demand Toys for hooking me up here. Thanks, Nick. Much appreciated, dude. I have obviously told him that I will be pulling back on the purchases for the next couple of months, for probably a bit longer, while we're we're moving into a new house. So he just, but he still went ahead and thank you very much, buddy. Much appreciated. You're an absolute star. So yeah, get yourself a friend like Nick at In Demand Toys. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, also shout out to everyone in the comments, by the way. Completely ignoring everyone at the moment. Sorry. Yeah, thanks for get all your comments in, get all your questions in, and we'll see if I can get to them as and when they pop up. Anyway, we've also seen the Cobra Officer Trooper Officer Pat show up in Target. Now, this apparently is a little bit premature. November the 26th is the technical street date for this one, but it did show up, I believe, in Omaha, Nebraska, like a little bit early. Are you? I don't know. You know what to ask you here, but yeah, there you go. Anything to add?
To the officer, trooper, officer, soldier, officer? No.
You're just happy that I called it that, aren't you?
The officer, squad leader, trooper, officer, soldier, officer. Yeah.
Whatever.
Throw a few others in there.
Keep adding to Dreadnought. What? Python Patrol Dreadnought. What? What's going on? Iron Grenadiers. The trooper officer, Cobra trooper officer. Infantry.
Yeah, I have nothing to add other than, I do like what they were trying to do with fixing the names. I really appreciate that. It's funny that it went so wrong, but I do appreciate the effort.
We do need to talk about that particular specific detail. The fact when I even spoke to Lenny and Emily about this, they were kind of like they thought it was quite funny, I think, after the fact, but you could tell there was like they were trying to fix that. They did the Cobra officer as the Cobra officer, originally, but like in the actual figure as opposed to the name that it was given. They were trying to fix that error. They got it half right, and then they bring out another officer, and it's just like,
as
hilarious.
I've said before, just call him Forlom.
Yes, this does feel to me like the biggest curse in the G.I. Joe action figure world. Like you're never going to escape the error curse of the Python Patrol, are you?
Yeah, it feels like the only way to get it absolutely for sure right would be to put them in the same wave.
Yeah,
but
that's so true.
But who wants to have the two army builder, like the most troop builder like characters? I don't know. I guess most of Python Patrol is troop builders, because you also have yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's like that.
It's just hilarious, isn't it? Anyway, that was the kind of little bit of news in terms of stuff showing up on pegs. Also, shout out to A Toy Kind of Mood and Travis, who did Travis Moody, to give him his full name, who gave us a wicked General Hawk review. That'll be in the shout outs as well. But I'm just throwing that in there right now because that was a little bit of he in hand first, I believe. I don't think anyone else. I haven't seen any other General Hawk reviews, which is pretty cool. Sorry, just got a knock on the door. I did, by the way, our heating has gone out. Just a full disclosure, our heating's gone out. I asked specifically not to come at between 1 and 2:30, and they're here at 1:10. Classic maneuver. Anyway, moving on, and I'll pretend that didn't happen, or you can hear stuff in the background.
Yeah, I can hear it, but that's okay.
It's all right. Just ignore it. Amazing stuff. Anyway, let's move on. Decoded listings is the next one. Now, this is where it gets really, what's the word? Kind of like
boring.
Shock.
Oh, okay.
This is where Pat just like, see you later.
I can take some guesses. I can take guesses this week at who things are.
That's true. That's very true. Well, also let's also face it, Pat. We know a lot more than we're letting on here. So I'm gonna put that out there straight away. But there are things that we don't know, so that's totally fair to say. Anyway, let's have a look at what we've got now. Obviously, to start off with, we've got all the basics that we've already covered. These Wes Milton is Shadow Tracker, confirmed. Tennyson, Wolf Spider, yeah. Night Force Tunnel Rat was Chekhov. We can check that off the list. Yeah, every time without fail. Poe is Copperhead. Boom. Dahl is the... I've even written it on there, mate. I should have put another officer at the end of it, shouldn't I? I've even written Python Patrol Officer Trooper on there, which is great. And of course, Nabokov is Televiper and the Cobra Flight Pod. So that's cool. Then, of course, we've got Mutton Junkyard as Dastardly Pet, Metalhead as Captain Caveman Deluxe. We've got Velma as Vamp with the Clutch. And then we've got come to our first point of discussion. Now, originally, Pat, and I know you were aware of this because I told you pretty much straight away, but we got information very early on that Retro Smurfette, Retro Papa, and Retro Gargamel were going to be Scarlet, Duke, and Cobra Commander, respectively. Now, of course, that seems to have been either an error, a miscommunicated error in the first place, or maybe it was changed. I don't know, but it's very doubtful. Usually the Lyman plans don't change where they move like code words around.
Right. Yeah, the code word usually will probably stick with what it is so that they can keep track of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out that Gargamel is almost certainly Recondo. So if you haven't seen the videos yet, you can check them out. They're on the channel. They're Decoded Listings and Decoded Listings Update. And that kind of takes you through all of these little kind of points, basically. But yeah, it's kind of important to make that distinction and explain why that was an error in the first place. And then, of course, Tom and Jerry are the 60th anniversary action soldier. And I believe this is called the Action Recon Diver, which is pretty cool. But I think that was said in the live event as well, I believe. But looking forward to those. They look really cool, those figures. I wasn't with you, Pat, when we were discussing these as reveals. We haven't really talked about these, have we?
No, we haven't.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I find it interesting if they're calling it now the Action Recon Diver. Are they holding the Action Sailor name for a potential more classic release? Because, I mean, I'm of two thoughts. I really was kind of looking forward to a classic treatment of those original G.I. Joe characters. I always, to be honest, what I really want is like a Hot Toys style treatment of the original Action Soldier.
I know what you're saying.
Like, that's what I would absolutely love to have. But
super upgrade in the 12-inch scale, basically.
Yes, absolutely. Make it look like a real person, but still the same guy that one kind of looks like.
Just make it a real person. Just make it a real person, an actual
but human. I want it to look like, I can look at it and still tell that it's that original G.I. Joe. And I don't know what that looks like, but I'm certain that the talent that I've seen sculpting some G.I. Joe figures can make that happen.
Yeah.
So I would love to see a 12-inch one like that. But this is really cool. I think that its moment to shine was that section where you saw him as the passenger in the van.
Oh, yes. Oh, God, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Because the thing is, like, there's a bit of a problem in the G.I. Joe story universe of it's cool to have them be a small team. But then you keep on adding things piecemeal, and suddenly it's like, well, they have an aircraft carrier and a space shuttle, but they're a tiny craft unit of. It's like,
dude,
wait, huh?
It's a small budget though. It's a small budget for the space shuttle. It's only like $20, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It gets crazy. So I like this because not every figure released needs to be like a specific G.I. Joe team member in the file. It is great to have just the military support also with them.
Yeah.
And the way that they're doing this, and we know that there'll be quality figures. Well, I'm hoping some of the accessories get worked out because that harpoon gun on Torpedo, mine just I can't keep it from being bendy. So it would be nice.
Mine, mate, is like an arrow now. And
really?
I utilized heat. You can see like a slight.
Okay, you used heat to get it fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it'll go back to its original position if you heat it.
Yeah.
It's just, and I could also see the argument for that one in particular because there are parts of it that would snap if it was too rigid.
Totally.
But there are accessories that need to be more rigid that aren't.
I would say though that it doesn't have to be like mega like solid. When the first few like rifles and stuff made sense, they were nice and sturdy, but they weren't. You know, they're not going to snap if you bend them, but they're not going to bend crazily.
My Steel Brigade figures, the tips of the guns are just bent just a little bit, and it's enough that as they're standing there, it looks a little bit weird.
Yeah.
So it would be nice if they went back to that original, more rigid accessories. That aside, what I'm getting at is that these things I think will be pretty solid. And, you know, I don't know that I'm going to pick them up right away, but I'm really glad that they're making them, just because I'm dialing back on so much because too much is coming out too fast.
Yeah, totally. And I'm with you on all of that, all those points, mate. One thing I would do want to say is that Mark was on the show and we were talking about these. Mark Seddon, shout out to Mark Seddon, Talking Joe. And that we were told in the comments, have you seen the, we were talking about all the accessories, and they said, what about the dog tags? And we're like, the what? And they're like, the dog tags. And we could not for the life of us on the image find the dog tags. They were like almost like hidden, almost camouflaged. It was honestly, we must have been on here for about 10 minutes trying to work out where they were on the image. And eventually it kind of, even when we were told exactly, we were given coordinates to find them on the image, like between this, and this. I'm like, I can't see it. But then I found the first one, and then funny enough, Mark was then struggling to find them after that, but it was just went on for hours. But anyway, the fact they come with little dog tags is really awesome as well. Like, I love that.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're doing that. It ties them back to the originals really nicely.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, that's so true. I didn't even realize the significance then. What an idiot. Of course, they had the dog tags in the 12-inch line.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought it was like a nice little touch, but of course it's got I don't know, such an idiot sometimes. Anyway, that's awesome. A lot of people in the comments
see their thumbs.
Oh, like, yeah.
Are they going to sculpt a thumbnail on the opposite side of that thumb?
On the other side, on the inside, yeah. Is it going to be Bob's hand? Is another question, isn't it?
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, because his were the Kung Fu grip, right?
Yeah. Bob, yeah, or the gripping hand, as it was known in Action Man. But yes, anyway, then we get some leak listings. People are going nuts in the comments at the moment, saying like, "What about this? What about that?" We'll get to them, guys. I'm just being very methodical with this particular episode. So then, of course, we get the black and red Techno Viper with the SMS. That's going to be Shaggy VEH. We know that. And we also know that Raptor is going to be a deluxe figure and is basically the Frankenstone DLX listing, as you can see at the top there. Excited. And we did speak about Raptor, didn't we, Pat?
Yeah, multiple birds. He needs multiple birds.
Multiple birds. He needs that stand. I've got a feeling he's going to have some vibes of that Zartan from either Rise or Pursuit. I think it was Pursuit, wasn't it?
Pursuit of Cobra, yeah.
Yeah. I think there might be some elements of that thrown in there. What do you think?
I think that it'll feel similar until we have it in hand. I don't know if it was the color of that one or what it may have been exactly that felt like the inclusion of the bird, obviously.
Yeah,
but I think it's going to feel different once we actually see it.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just looking at some comments as we're moving.
I'm really wondering also whether or not they're going to go with the colors like you have on screen as he appears often in the comics in that lighter color, or if he'll be more like the toy with the cowl over his head as being dark brown.
Yeah, like it was like the cowl was dark brown and the kind of like tips were dark brown, but the actual wings were that kind of light color with the pattern on it, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think that was just an Earl Norm. That was Earl Norm, I think, on that cover.
I think so, yeah.
Because it's one of the books, I think. The kind of young adult like novel ones, I think. It's not one of the Find Your Fate ones. I specifically think it's one of the maybe Ballantine. I can't remember what they're called, but anyway. That I believe is an Earl Norman piece, and I think he would do, he would definitely embellish, or artistic interpretation would come into it a bit, wouldn't it, with Earl?
Yeah, for sure. But in such a positive way who knows what the final item is going to look like.
Earl Norham is up there with some of my favorite artists, I've got to say. He did phenomenal work on the Joe line and on the cards as well. He did a lot of card artwork as well. Obviously, Hector Garrido's a legend. He'll always be, associated.
Garrido defined G.I. Joe.
100%.
He defined it.
And everyone followed what he did after that, put their own spin on it, what have you. But Earl Norham, for me, has got to be up there with him, and Doug Hart, actually. But like those those three stand out to me. And let's throw Adam Riches in the mix as well, because obviously he's done a lot of card art for the G.I. Joe line as well. Anyway, shout out to Adam. So yeah, that is those two. That's pretty obvious. But then we get the next one, which is Scooby VEH, and that is the Cobra Ferret with Pat. And we can, like, this is in the listing with the Cobra Ferret Scout. That's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what the character is named then?
That's what the character's named, yeah.
The Ferret Scout. Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be the figure and vehicle scenario there. Oh, Heating's back in the play. Heating just kicked in, if you can hear that. It's like a live stream of our Heating fix, isn't it? It's quite weird. Anyway, Cobra Ferret with the Cobra Ferret.
Yeah, you know, I can enjoy that actually. That kind of fits with the naming convention of the time. Like, you know, later on, you had vehicle drivers would have like whatever Viper, or they would have specific names like Decimator.
Yeah.
But early on, it was like Stinger Driver, Hiss Driver.
Yeah.
So now you have, I mean, it's not Driver, but it makes sense that they might be doing some sort of advanced recon or something. And Ferret Scout, yeah, I like that. It works.
And I'm still pretty like, I'm convinced this is going to be a female figure based on like this particular artwork.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're correct.
And we've seen the helmet very close as well, which looks phenomenal, actually. I think it's a really awesome addition to the line, to the brand, that like just that motorcycle helmet with the fangs on it. It's kind of like, it's funny because it doesn't look like it's got like snake motif on it, if that makes it. It just looks like an actual motorcycle helmet. But then when you really look at it, you've got these like sharp fangs on the visor and everything, which is really neat. So yeah, I'm excited to see what that figure looks like properly. I mean, we've effectively seen most of it here, but that's the Scooby VEH, guys, for those that have got their spreadsheets out and are filling it all in as they go. Now we're getting into Unknown next. Is that right? That's going to be correct. Snake Eyes, right? So you're gonna say Snake Eyes on Unknown, are you? Let's see.
That's who Unknown is, right?
Let's see who it is. It's Norgahide and Boar. So this is what Snake Eyes version 937 as Norgahide in disguise.
Snake Eyes is Norgahide.
And Timber in disguise as well. That's Timber's hair coming out the top.
It's a late Halloween thing.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, so this I've got to say, mate, I'm so excited for this. One thing that gets me really excited about Classified is the larger animal companions. And I have a feeling this boar could be some next level awesomeness.
So do we know that this isn't a deluxe, though, or a figure with pet?
It is a figure with pet. Okay. We know it's
sure that it's not going to be, you know, a tiny tiny boar.
Baby boar. Yeah, so I should be specific here. Yes, we know. So the listing is specifically written GIJCS Norgahide with boar, and then all the numbers that follow suit. So we are aware that it's a figure and pet, but in the same way that there's a couple more unknowns that we get to later. And I say unknowns, unknown internal code word, which is weird. Like sometimes we will get listings that will just have the name on it rather than an
I'm going to keep guessing word. Snake Eyes though, and eventually I'll be right.
Well, eventually you'll be right. I think.
Eventually in the future, there will be more code names, and eventually one of them will be Snake Eyes. I will be right.
So you're technically right already, because there are unknown code words that we don't know about to come, and one of them is going to be Snake Eyes.
I probably am right, yeah.
There you go, perfect. Pat always likes to play the odds on this one, don't you, mate? So anyway, Norgahide and Boar, so excited for this one. I think the boar, like I said, is going to be phenomenal. And, you know, I'm expecting like rings in the nostrils. I'm expecting the mohawk, all that good stuff. Are you excited for this? I'm more excited for the animal. I'm not gonna lie.
They've been doing a really nice job with the animals. I think that in the vintage line, the animals were always a big seller of the figure. If the figure came with an animal, that was a reason to buy it. And one of the things I always wanted was for some of them to be articulated. We got that in like the Retaliation era of G.I. Joe, like an articulated timber. I loved getting that stuff in 4-inch form. But I have to say that the animals that they've put out, like, yeah, it was. I was really, really feeling something. I was missing my dog when I saw the images of Junkyard, and it's like,
oh mate.
Well, yeah, but
it does. It makes
like,
me snuggle Phoebe. Trust me. I'm the
speaks
same.
to how well they are capturing the spirit of animals inside the 6-inch line. They were doing a really good job with those, and I appreciate that.
When you say the spirit of animals, you mean freedom,
right? But I mean, it's a different thing when you have to approach another animal. You know, the animal they're usually doing is human, so you know the way that we move and the articulation of humans and the anatomy of a human. Whereas if you're going to do a boar, you're going to have to learn that musculature and get it right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they keep on doing these, because that's a task. You know, that's asking a lot of the person who's planning out how, you know, the sculpt sheets and the sculptor to learn all that, to get it right. And they keep on doing such a phenomenal job with it. So
so
good
true.
job to them.
It's so true. You don't even think about that. This isn't an animal. Yeah. It's not Schleich. This isn't like some sort of animal line. This is a predominantly action figure kind of line. So yeah, you're almost like these additional extras. Like Fiona was above and beyond. Timber, crazy. It was like figure of the year. Timber, like, you know, just all these like extras that go into that. Just that one aspect, just make it so much more enjoyable. So I think this is going to be an absolute winner. Sean says should come with little piggies like Fiona had her babies. I think that is absolutely genius, Sean.
I agree.
I love that. Thank you very much for your comment. This is quite funny. Leon says, at least they didn't call her Quad Viper in response to the Cobra Ferret. Good point. Is the scout male or female? Paisano, we're guessing it's a female figure. That's what we're guessing at the moment. 84 Rain says, love how much Pat hates the code words.
I do hate some code words.
He hates them. You see, we're completely, this is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. When I get code words, all I think of is, right, let's run these numbers by what we have. And like, I'm getting all like detective with it, trying to work out like when they're coming, what point, what makes the most sense. And Pat's like, just tell me what they are. I wait now until I've deciphered a lot of things before I tell Pat this stuff. It's hilarious. Another good point from Leon. We know from Metalhead Box that it's classic colors Naugahyde. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I will say, Leon, that I only use this image just for cleanliness sake. The card art, if you haven't noticed on Naugahyde's card art, most of it's covered by the bubble because the amount of stuff he comes with, the boar that comes with it. So like a lot of Naugahyde is kind of like, not, you know, some of him is covered.
You mean on version 1?
Yeah, the first vintage figure. And then most of the wild and most of his boar is covered as well. And one other thing I'm going to throw out here, Pat, is something we've discussed in the past. If you go to the wiki of Naugahyde, because I'm doing a Let's Talk Classified Naugahyde video at the moment, so I'm having to do a lot of research on this one. But it says on there specifically in the wiki that his boar is called Clyde, but there's nowhere that I can find in any media in the, you know, prior to that point when that was written in the wiki, I can't see any mention of that being the boar's name. The only Clyde that I can find is just the name of Naugahyde for the modern 7-pack.
Yeah, so could it just be a mistake? I don't know. That's where it would be really nice if the wiki had like references listed for that, because, you know, it could be like it's a wiki, so it could be like Henry Winkler and Street Sharks.
Yeah.
You know, where somebody
fake fact, or
somebody inserted a fake fact into the internet, which is just a falsehood into the internet, to see how it would echo years later. And it's still out there. I mean, the guy's not in Street Sharks, but that was intentionally done. And the person that did it actually wrote an article in the last couple of years about how he did that and how it's funny that, and I don't find it funny, you know, that fake information is out there. And I'm not accusing anyone of doing that. It's just maybe there was a mistake, and I don't want to repeat that as fact whenever it could be a mistake.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Leon says he's definitely called Clyde somewhere else. I can't recall where. It's not false. The problem is I have not found it anywhere. I've looked at every media, every single thing.
I don't
including
remember
this
seeing
question from
Naugahyde in the original Real American Hero run. I thought that he appeared like first in the Devil's Due stuff.
Yeah, he's not in the Real American Hero run at all. Again, that's something I had to check. I basically looked at every issue from like 88 onwards, just to make I literally skim read every single issue. But yeah, that's to answer your question, Ray. Yeah, he doesn't appear in the Real American Hero run. Although Diana says yes, he and Cross Country had a feud. Really, Diana? Because as far as I'm aware, unless you're talking IDW, in which case he does appear in the IDW run. He doesn't appear in the Marvel run, as I should be clear on that one. Apologies, guys. He doesn't appear in the Marvel A Real American Hero issues. He does appear in IDWs. Apologies. Right. Thank you, Diana, for making me clarify that. Leon says, who else cares about code words when there's dog tags to be found? That's hilarious.
I don't. And then Diana mentions, is it somewhere in a cartoon? I don't remember the boar showing up in Deke at all.
He's not in the Deke cartoon as well.
Yeah.
He's not. Oh, Diana says he's in Marvel.
I don't remember that.
You're going to have to tell us what issue it is, Diana, because I read every single one to try and find him. Every single one. Let us know what issue it was, and I'll check it out and correct myself on that one. Anyway, yeah, Ray meant 1 to 155. Yeah, that's what I assumed it was, because like I said, I looked at like every single issue to try and ascertain if he'd been in it. Okay, Diana's looking it up now. Thank you, Diana. Okay, let's move on then. We'll come back to Naugahyde and his boar, but very excited for that one. Next up is Fred Deluxe. Now, we don't know what that is. What are you going to guess, Pat? You're going to guess Snake Eyes on this one?
No, DLX, that's Roman numerals again. You know, you got Fred the 7th is VII, Fred DLX, that's Fred 560. It's clear as day. This is a Crimson Guard from the future.
Please, please tell me you think it's going to be a Crimson Guard with just an alternate head.
Sure.
Brilliant.
It'd be a travesty because I really do love that helmet.
Oh yeah, it's a wicked. I mean, I'd like that, but that's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, that's not the answer. I don't truly. If somebody's just tuning in, I don't want them to think that I really.
Yeah, he's not that much of a fool, guys. Yeah, Leon, we know that Naugahyde is called Clyde in his modern re-release. We know that, but we don't know. What we're saying is we don't know whether Clyde is the boar's name, because the only time it comes up in anything is on the wiki. And I haven't been able to find it. Or
it comes up somewhere else that we're just not finding.
Yeah, it might do. But again, I've looked at everything recently and can't find any inclination that he was called Clyde.
This is why I just need to start with the original issue and read everything and watch everything all over again.
With the constant, like, taking screenshots every time something interesting comes up.
That is right, yes.
Yeah. That's what I always forget to do. And do you know what I tend to do this thing as well, where I'll be watching a cartoon and go, oh, I need that screenshot. But then I can't be bothered now. I'll remember where it is.
Right.
Do I buggery? Yeah. So so we don't know who Fred DLX is. Now, I will say we really don't know who Fred DLX is. This is one of those ones we can't tell you about. We really don't know who he is or she. So, because again, they're not. It's one of those things with the code words. Kamakura was Miranda. So there's always this kind of like, it's never on the nose, technically. Anywho, let's move on. Diana's still struggling to find it. I don't think you will, Diana. I genuinely don't think you'll find it in the Marvel run. I looked in every issue and couldn't find anything. Anyway, the HasLab Dragonfly is known as Jabberjaw, but we did know this because this was one of the code words that popped up before the HasLab Dragonfly kicked off. So we got, when it was all leaked and we had like a few, we had the leaks of what was coming the next event for what it was. Jabberjaw was on the list, and I think Jabberjaw was also, I think we talked about it as the name for the Dragonfly after the fact. So that's not really anything new, but it might be new to you. So I thought I'd throw it in there just in case. So with that out the way, and that is really just, I think that's just an internal code in general. Like, it's not something that we're not going to see this at retail effectively. Anyway, next up, Pat, we have Flintstone, Barney, Wilma, Rosie. Any guesses before we move on?
Rosie's a robot, so that's going to be a new bat.
Of course.
No, Flintstone. That'll be Flint and Lieutenant Stone matched up.
Like too bad.
Barney. That's gonna be the Phantom Brigade Barnstormer because he comes from a barn.
Brilliant.
And Wilma. I don't know. Maybe the guy from the Rocketeer.
You are incorrect on all.
Oh, what?
I know. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, Pat? Big Boa is Flintstone. Airborne is Barney. To give him his full name, it's Franklin Airborne Tall Tree. So he's going to get a full, like, long old name scenario. I'm guessing because Airborne might be taken up by a Transformer trademark, possibly.
Or maybe they just want to be clear on which Airborne it is.
That's actually a really much better point than I just stated. Yeah, that's very clear. Thank you, Pat. So that is going to be 100% Franklin E Tall Tree, which is cool. Wilma is Quick Kick. So, and Techno Viper is Rosie. You weren't far off with your thoughts for Rosie being a robot, because, I mean, it kind of looks like Rosie, doesn't it not? Doesn't the Techno Viper look a little bit like Rosie?
Yeah, I mean, sure, I guess. He looks a little robotic.
There you go. Not that Wilma looks anything like Quick Kick, but anyway, that is now this little group of figures are 4 of the 5-figure wave for that period. We believe this is, actually, I'm not sure when this is. This might be middle of the year. I think we might be looking at summer releases here, guys, for this stuff, kind of like in the June, July kind of area. But it's all this is all a bit of guesswork at the moment, a bit speculative on that one. So don't take my word for it for now. But just to give you an idea, RKW's made a good point here, Pat. Just going back to Fred quickly. Maybe Fred is Battle Armor Cobra Commander. I did say that before we started, didn't I?
Yeah, it could be. That'd be a really cool way of having a little bit of a laugh.
It would actually, because
a
deluxe figure would be pretty cool for that Cobra Commander as well. Like maybe the like parts would come off or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we had Dick Dastardly referring to Mutt and Junkyard, and he came with, he's buddies with Muttley.
Yeah.
So they could actually be dropping not hints, but almost in-jokes that function as hints within these. Yeah, that could be.
I think you could also throw in Jabberjaw as a joke there for the Dragonfly, because it was obviously leaked very early on. And I think Jabberjaw might be the kind of like play on words they've used for that, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so Fred, that could be a good one. Anyway, just so you know, this is the 4 of the 5-figure waves. Now, another thing I should explain is that when we get listings sent to us, or when the listings appear, it's quite often that we just get 4 of the 5-figure wave explained, like in a group, which is weird. I've always found that quite odd. And then I thought, well, maybe it's because of the repaint scenario. Maybe there's another repaint in there, which is very likely. And I know we've got the Techno Viper in there, which is technically a pre-paint, I would say, or it's a repaint of the pre-paint. No, this is the pre-paint of the repaint, which was the SMS Techno Viper, if that makes sense.
Well, this is just the normal one. This is what I would just see. This is what was planned from the beginning.
Okay, so this isn't. Yeah, so in your mind, this wouldn't be the repaint of the wave, technically.
I mean, I guess technically, if you're just going in order that they came out, yeah, it's a repaint. But if the other one's a pre-paint,
it gets really confusing. I'm sorry.
But
basically, it's very likely that the 5th figure in that group is going to be a repainted figure. So maybe we've got like Ripcord, we've got Crazy Legs. Could be one of those 2 figures from the Dragonfly House Lab. We'll see, I guess. Anyway, Chris, blink twice if Fred is Battle Armor Cobra Commander. I don't know. Literally have no clue.
Again, you're not allowed to blink the rest of the episode.
Anyway, and I'll put this mouth on as well, because that helped me not close my eyes for some reason. So now we move on to these other 2 figures. Now, these other 2 figures are part of another 5-figure wave, but not this one. To get really confusing for everybody. You ready, Pat?
Yeah. I have no guess. They're both Snake Eyes.
both unknown in the code word, so obviously they're both Snake Eyes. We don't know the code words for these, but we do know the listings and those numbers, and they are Night Creeper and Dreadnought Torch. You were way off, mate. Way off. Anyway, Night Creeper. So Night Creeper and Dreadnought Torch will be like what they call mainline figures, effectively. So yeah, 24.99 classics, same as Big Boa, Airborne, Quick Kick, and Techno Viper, but it's likely that they're not in the same grouping as those four that we've just seen, just to make things really confusing for everybody. What is also likely, and this again is a, what's the word? This is speculative, but because Jinx and Doc haven't appeared yet in terms of listings, I have a feeling that Jinx, Doc, Night Creeper, and Dreadnought Torch might be in the same wave. I'm just throwing that out as a speculative idea. We don't know, yes or no. No, well, Diana still hasn't found him in Marvel, and I don't think you will, Diana, because I literally read every issue the other day to try and find him. Yes, he's in Devil's Due. Yes, he's in IDW. I don't think he shows up at all in A Real American Hero, but keep going. If you do find it, obviously let us know. So that's pretty much all of those leaked listings. Okay. Do I suppose there may be a second head for Night Creeper Leader, says the Figure 6 pack? Let's throw that on the screen. That's a nice question. What do you think, Pat?
I would say no, because they probably will just release that as a separate release whenever they get around to it. That'd be a great way of doing a slight difference on the deco of the outfit, and then also the secondary, because he had the big shoulders, the big shoulder pads in the Deke series.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
In fact, those interesting kind of shoulder pad sort of additions show up on the Snake Eyes Origins Night Creeper, the kind of 6-inch kids figure. And so I was kind of saying in my video for the Let's Talk Night Creeper classified Night Creeper video, my kind of like thing was, I think that might be a good barometer for like the design of the classified Night Creeper. And other than, though, they've got to have the camo on the pants. Leaving the camo off those pants was a big miss for me, and because it's effectively like one of the iconic elements of the Night Creepers is that camo, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how far this thing steers away from the original design. I don't expect it to be exactly like the package art. You think it will be?
I think it'll be as close as, say, Nunchuck is, or as close as, say, where there's like elements that are kind of updated, but for the most part, you tell what it is quite clearly. Or I think they'll have a secondary over what is existing parts, is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
New head, existing part body build,
yeah,
and then like a secondary kind of armor thing that goes over the top.
Yeah, and that works. That's perfectly fine. I'm just curious to see how close it resembles the original.
Yeah,
not that it has to, but I personally really like Night Creepers, so I would kind of like that character to be one that gets both treatments.
Yeah, same actually.
If they have a Night Creeper leader, it'd be great if you could swap parts between them somehow and make more of Night Creepers. It'd just be great. I love those.
Yeah, definitely. Leon, I will answer this question for you, because I will say my idea that Doc is in that wave is purely speculative. Like I said, it's just a guess. But I don't know, like with Doc, he could be a deluxe figure. We don't know yet, is the answer to your question. Could be, or he might be a single carded one. Like I said, as and when the listings kind of like appear or emerge, we'll know a little bit more. But as for the Night Creeper, Dreadnought Torch, Jinx, Doc kind of scenario, that is really me speculating completely. But yeah, Night Creeper and Dreadnought Torch, we do have listings for those. They're the numbers as well. Jobs are good. Next up then, Pat, and we have new leaked listings to get stuck into. My God, there's a lot of stuff to get into, isn't there? It's crazy pants. So, Bosch. Look at that.
And pre-orders go up at 4 p.m. today for all this, right?
Now, funny you should say that, because Transformers just posted, was it yesterday, that they're doing a live event? And usually Hasbro like to group their brands events together-ish, don't they? They like to kind of do Transformers, GI Joe, Power Rangers, etc., etc. You know, they'll do like multiples in a similar period of time. Are we looking at possibly another GI Joe event?
Yeah, maybe before the end of the year, I could see that, just to let us know what's coming out. I mean,
just to screw us with more pre-orders as well, I imagine.
Well, you've still got all the stuff on the left, right? That there's still stuff that hasn't been pre-ordered over there.
Yep.
And like you mentioned, Doc and Jinx.
And well, I'm not going to keep going. It'll take us a while to go back, but obviously the 60th anniversary figures renders have not been. They're not up for pre-order yet. The retro figures are not up for pre-order yet. There's so much that, you know, we could be seeing before the end of the year, which I thought we got to that point this year where it was like, okay, yeah, that'll do. We've squeezed a year into 6 months. We'll wait till next year. But I don't know, with all of this stuff, I've got a feeling we're going to see some more before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that squeezing everything into 6 months, where the 6 months still isn't up. So we're probably going to see more stuff before the end of the year. Yeah, I totally agree.
Diana says, I always felt Night Creeper's goggles looked like they were upside down. That's actually quite a funny comment there, Diana. I like that. The Figure Six Pack says, don't forget the Pharaoh head Night Creeper leader option as well. You can have a few, really, couldn't you? You could have like the bald cap one. You could have with the blindfold. You could have the one from the Deep cartoon, the Pharaoh helmet head thing from the Deep cartoon. There's a lot of different heads you could throw in there.
Yeah, for sure. But I assume that we'll get Night Creeper leader at a later time.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Okay. Robert H, good point. The Transformers event is because the reactive game is going to get probably shown off soon, and they're going to put the toys up for it. Thank you, Robert. Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. Yeah, and it certainly has been the case where we've had live events for one brand randomly out of the blue and nothing for everyone else. So you're totally right on that. It could just be us getting a bit scared, but we'll see, I guess. Now, new leak listings, Pat, let's talk about these. The ones that we can, so we know a few more than we're letting on here, but we're only giving away what has been revealed, okay? So yeah, we don't want to say we don't really want to give a lot of this away, but some of this is like information that's kind of emerged now, so we're reporting on it. So Elroy is going to be Alpine. Now what we do know as well is that Elroy, Judy, Betty, and Bam Bam are 4 of the 5-figure wave. So I've put these in a specific order so it makes a bit of sense for everybody, okay? So we know that Alpine is going to be a single kind of mainline release. We also know that Betty is the Iron Grenadiers. So there's your troop builder for that kind of 5-figure wave. Still waiting on Judy and Bam Bam, but I think you guys are going to be fairly stoked at those. Pat, let's talk about what we can talk about, obviously. Alpine and Iron Grenadiers. Go back to Alpine first. What are your thoughts on this one, and are you excited to see him?
Yeah, I mean, I always kind of view the original G.I. Joes as being either a comic book, as far as the characters go, either being a comic book character primarily or a cartoon character primarily. And there's very few of them that are kind of both.
Yeah.
Like Cobra Commander's both. But Alpine's definitely a cartoon character to me.
Yeah.
And also one of the big ones. So, yeah, this is going to be a big release. I'm really curious to see what kind of gear he comes with, because as a kid, I liked playing with, climbing figures on strings.
Yeah.
And so...
hit and run.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that whatever his climbing gear is, that it's cool.
Yeah, I've got to say I'm really excited for this one. I'm excited how they do, he's got to have new arms technically, or maybe they'll give him some pre-existing arms and then put secondaries for the wrist gauntlet and the shoulder pads. I don't know, but it would make sense to me that they did new arms for him and then gave him a vest secondary to match the arms, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like almost because it's not a full jacket a lot of the time. It kind of only, it doesn't go all the way down, does it? So it's almost like a little crop top, which is quite cute. But I think we're going to, like, personally in my head, I can almost see what they're going to do with it. And I will also reiterate, I haven't seen this figure yet, by the way. And I will tell you if I have seen a figure, I will do. I just won't tell you what it's like. But in this case, I think they're going to, that would be my guess for how this build goes. And then a secondary piece of rope that goes over the figure that can come off. And maybe like Shipwreck has with his, you know, that kind of like secondary rope that then has a harpoon option, not harpoon, a grappling hook option that can kind of attach to it. So maybe something like that, would you think?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, speaking of Shipwreck, I'm kind of curious to see if he'll have a removable hat.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, I imagine he will. There hasn't been one yet, has there, that doesn't had a removable kind of headgear, I want to say.
Well, like barbecue.
Oh, yeah. Well, barbecue, well, that's different, isn't it? Like, it's not necessarily like it. I think if barbecue came out now, I think we'd have a removable helmet for barbecue, like an actual full or an alternate head. I think because he came out during the period where the budget was really tight on the line, I think that's probably what happened with that one. And they just had to go with like a, you know, but yeah, I think I agree with you though. I think, yeah, you're right. Barbecue is definitely one. Technically, Copperhead's another one.
Yeah, but with Cobras, I don't necessarily want all of them to have removable masks.
Yeah, they're just going to have balaclavas on underneath anyway.
Good job. What?
They're just going to have balaclavas on underneath anyway.
Yeah, right.
Scrap iron was a nice touch though, given doing that. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm missing loads of comments as well. Oh, great shout, Diana. Thank God we finally have an Alpine. He better come with his G.I. Joe Express card. That is actually a really fun addition. And I think if you take into consideration what they did with Quick Kick, and I know the Fudgy Bar is way more iconic than the Joe Express card. Because it's, you know, the Joe Express shows up in that one episode, isn't it? It's like is it the Cobra Stops the World or maybe the gold one? I can't remember which one it was now. But yeah, maybe it's something money. Cobra.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Anyway, sorry, Pat. Yeah, I think it would be a great thing to throw in there, especially like homaging the Sunbow universe a little bit as well. Anyway, that's Alpine. In terms of his gear, though, as a single figure release, you're going to miss out on a lot of cool deluxe opportunities, I think. Hit and Run, I wonder if whenever they get to that figure, because they have to, like he's pretty prominent as a lower tier character, but like definitely a cult hero, isn't he? Hit and Run. Yeah,
I mean, it's like getting to Outback early on.
Yeah, big time. That's a good point, actually. Outback and Hit and Run, yeah, I'd say they're on a similar level. You know, you've got that. I use iconic way too loosely. Tyrone, I don't know. The Fudgy to me is iconic. To me, it is anyway. But anyway, yeah. That's a side point. I exaggerate anyway, Tyrone. You should know that about me, man. I'm very exaggerate. I exaggerate all my stuff. Like I'm very up there. Very. I can't think of the word now. Doesn't matter. It's not important. Alpine. I think Alpine and Hit and Run, they either might do very similar, where they don't really go into crazy interactive detail with the accessories and the rope. They might just do a wolf spider and throw in a tiny bit of string. But I don't know. I don't see the point in that. I think there needs to be something interactive specifically with Alpine and Hit and Run.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that spacing them out would be a good idea too. Because with their specialty kind of being very similar, or the feature of the figure being very similar, I think that spacing them out and not releasing them back to back would be a good idea.
Yeah, defo. Then we've got Iron Grenadiers. This one, I'm very excited to see them approach, especially with. And I don't want to steal your thunder here, Pat. So I'll let you talk on this first before I get into it. I was going to say something about a previous troop builder that they did really well in the helmet variety.
Oh, yeah. I am hoping that they do this helmet as well as the Crimson Guard helmet for sure, because the Iron Grenadier it is a lot about the look of the helmet, and yeah, I don't know if the 25th quite hit what I wanted. I think the 25th did better than the Crimson Guard 25th did. But I am curious to see how much they can get this to look like the card art. I'm really hoping that they go classic on the helmet so that we get as good of a classic look as we did with the Crimson Guard.
I agree. I think we're in for a treat here, honestly. So yeah, that'd be awesome. Now we can move on, and also we obviously Metalhead opened the door, shall we say, for Iron Grenadiers. Technically, Destro did, but in terms of the specific Iron Grenadiers, Metalhead opened that door, and Iron Grenadiers followed suit with a name-only reveal. Now we can attach that to Betty. Next, then, like I said, Judy and Bam Bam, no idea yet. Sorry, we can't tell you is the answer to that one, actually. But moving on, and we have Daphne Deluxe, I think. Oh, no, we'll go through them one by one first, sorry, but the next one is quite obvious. Daphne Deluxe, we discussed, is going to be a deluxe figure, and because it's I believe that is a designation for some other thing that goes with a figure. So whether it be it's not a vehicle because it would be VEH, but it might be a vehicle because in some other situations we've had the VEH designation not on there when it has been a vehicle. So this could be vehicle based, or it could be something else. We don't know.
But it says deluxe after it. Would it be redundant to say vehicle and deluxe?
Yes. So that is the kind of designation on this that specifies a figure with something else that probably wouldn't be a vehicle. So like I'm guessing, like my speculative brain here goes to something like a towable, or something like, you know, like the SMS or the
Whirlwind
or the Whirlwind, or any of those. 100%. Or maybe could we be in the vicinity now, Pat, of getting what I've always hoped and dreamed for, but a mini Dio, like a Checkpoint Alpha or something like that.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I would think that would be a hit, not just with the G.I. Joe community, if they did like some of those earlier sets that had like barrels and sandbags, and just throw a bunch of that stuff in there. I think that people would enjoy that.
We can confirm that does not mean Mad Marauders. I think we worked it out to mean Mystery Machine, guys. I think that's what it was. And I think Mystery Machine designates some sort of, like I said, vehicle or some other large item, or, not your usual kind of thing. I think that's what means, by the way. It doesn't 100% doesn't mean Mad Marauders. And I think HB, what does HB mean? Hanna-Barbera, I think. I think they're just basic things that they utilize for some other use, but they don't really necessarily mean what you think it means, if that makes sense. So is just the designation we've seen on multiple larger vehicles and other things like the SMS, etc. And HB at the moment is looking like exclusive product. Now we'll get to that in a second. Highway Pet next, Pat. We do know what this is. We can't talk about it, but all I can say is it's a character that has never had an animal before. And yeah, I'm very excited to see that. We won't talk any more about it because obviously we know what it is and we can't speculate at the same time. But if you can throw in your guesses in the comments, and I promise you, we're not going to tell you whether you're right or wrong anyway. But yeah, Highway Pet, another pet figure. Atlas DLX is just a straight up deluxe figure. Again, we know what it is. We can't speculate, so we have to move on. Whip Snakes, we can speculate on, Pat, because we have no idea what the Whip Snakes 2-pack is. Now, all I can say is it's a Troop Builder 2-pack. What are your thoughts, mate?
I have no idea. I had to Google what Whip Snakes even was.
What is it?
It's some sort of a rugby team or something.
Oh, right. I assume
lacrosse. It's a lacrosse team.
Interesting. Oh,
and maybe that actually refers to something.
Well, hang on.
That's what came up first. I don't know if Whip Snakes is something that they're basing it on. Maybe that's a.
Let's think, because obviously lacrosse is prominent in with Thrasher specifically, I want to say. But not that I don't know. It's not going to be a Troop Builder 2-pack of Thrashers, is it?
Yeah, I can't figure out. It's a little weird how they've kind of changed gears here on the cartoon theme.
Yes,
we had a lot of cartoon.
And is Whipsnake Hanna-Barbera? Because I've never heard of it before.
Maybe.
Leon says it's 2 times Snake Eyes, Pat. You should have been on top of that.
Yeah, it probably is.
In terms of troop builders and like giving the vicinity of what we're dealing with in here, here's a guess: Iron Grenadier multi-pack in some sort of slightly different fashion.
Okay.
We've seen it with the Vipers. We've seen it with. It might be like, and I don't know. So we are literally making up. We do know it's a troop builder, Diana. So it's not going to be 2 individual characters. We know it's a troop builder 2-pack. That's all we know. Okay, Python Patrol Valkyries.
Yeah, that could be. That's a thought.
Figure 6-pack came up with that one. One thing I will say about that though is that we know that would be we don't necessarily know that they are going to keep continuing Python Patrol and Tiger Force with the target theme. They might, we've got
might veer away from that. Yeah.
So and we had Marauders Barbecue in a wave, so it wouldn't be crazy for them to do like a mainline version of Tiger Force or Python Patrol at any point.
I also wonder if there's anything we can infer from how close together some of these numbers are, because it's G0335 and 336 between Atlas and then Whipsnakes. Maybe would they get designed at the same time?
Now that you said that, Pat, you've given me another idea, but we can't speculate because we know what Atlas is going to be. So that's where my mind's gone, and now I'm really excited and can't say anything. God, I feel bad about not doing that. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I see what you're saying. I think, the vicinity with which some of these numbers are connected does that definitely mean something a lot of the time. And sometimes it doesn't, because, we've had figures move around in the line plan as to where they're released. But again, not a big deal. Has Big Boa been given a name already, says Figure 6-pack? Yes, Flintstone. We talked about him a little while back. How many monies, Chris? Well, for the Whipsnake 2-pack, it's your 2-pack price, like the 50-something 99 or 54.99, I think it is. But it's just your standard Troop Builder 2-pack cost, right? Which was effectively whatever the Valkyries cost, I think. It's the only one we've had so far, I think, isn't it, Pat? The other one's been a 3-pack. Oh no, we had the 2-pack Ninjas.
We had a 2-pack for the Steel Corps.
Blue Ninja Steel Corps. Yeah, we've had loads. What we're talking about. We've had loads. Anyway, so we don't know what that's going to be, but there you go. Then we get into some really interesting areas here. Now, HB seems to denote an exclusive of some kind. We don't know whether what Boo Boo or Space Ghost. We don't know either of those two detail-wise. We don't know if they're Target. We don't know if they're Walmart. They could be Pulse exclusive for all we know. They might be lumping all their HB exclusive designations in together. So we might be getting Pulse exclusive, Target exclusive, Walmart exclusive. Now, we do know that Yogi is a figure and vehicle Target exclusive. And we do know that HB Zorak is a 2-pack for Walmart. And that would be a first. But we also have the price on that, which is the $54.99 2-pack price. So it gets a bit confusing here. And I apologize for throwing out so much information. But that is the information that you can then work with and work with it as you may. But Yogi
paired by the code names, like since Yogi and Boo Boo are paired together in the cartoon, would they both be Target, and then Space Ghost and Zorak would both be Walmart?
Do you know what? That's very likely, highly likely. But obviously, we're not without the confirmation. I can't say definitely. But that is a cracking point. Yogi and Boo Boo, it makes sense. Now that could just mean one Yogi. Well, we know that Yogi, like I said, we know Yogi is a figure and vehicle 2-pack, figure and vehicle pack. So Boo Boo could just be a single figure in that same wave. Because if you look at the numbers, it's 432 and then 435. So you expect there's going to be a couple more names. Like what is it we expect with Target? We expect 3 figures and a figure vehicle usually. That changed a little bit with the last lot, which was 2 figures and 1 figure vehicle. But it wouldn't surprise me if we go back to 432, 433, 434 as the figures and 435 as the figure vehicle.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there as again, that's purely speculative once again. But I think you've got a point there. I think that makes sense that Space Ghost and Zorak would go together. Yogi and Boo Boo would go together. We'll probably get more Yogi-related characters for Target, and we'll probably get more kind of like Cartoon Network style Hanna-Barbera, you know, like kind of, what am I thinking of specifically? Harvey Birdman. I want a Harvey Birdman. That would have been perfect for Raptor, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Harvey Birdman. Yeah.
Or Voltar, sure. Maybe. Voltar would have been good, Harvey Birdman. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so now that's confused everyone beyond belief. Let's get to our next reveal, and that is Cobra Commander. Now, yes, like I said before, we were told that Gargamel was going to be Cobra Commander. Turns out that Cobra Commander Retro is Casey. And funny enough, speaking of numbers, Pat, guess what links up nicely with this number to the other to Duke and Scarlet? It's 49677, and then Duke and Scarlet are like 676 and 675. So they're like effectively really close.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because then you look at the other numbers and they're all separate from those. So including Gargamel, which is another 8 number. Anyway, that's again just getting too nerdy and too deep into this. I'm sorry. Cobra Commander, regular logo. You expecting this on?
For sure. Yeah. That is what it's going to be. It's just going to be this with regular logo, and who knows what other small details they may change. Maybe you give him the stripe on his helmet. You know, just some small stuff.
Could you imagine if they decided to do the hooded CC for this one? How like popular that figure would be?
It would be, yeah, but they're not going to do that. I just don't think it'll happen.
But you never know. I'm just throwing it out there. But yeah, that's
in the cartoon. The hood was like the dark blue on the regular color, light blue body. So I don't think that it would be ridiculous to include, you know, both.
Yeah, it'd be great actually. I think it'd be kind of a good one to throw in there. Anyway, let's. Someone says a different shade of blue toys equals midlife crisis squared. Says maybe a different shade of blue as well. Yeah, that's a good point actually.
Yeah, that's true.
Could be a dark blue one just to make it completely different. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think they'll go. It may just be a different shade of light blue.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. Kind of in a similar way to the Crimson Guard retro and the Crimson Guard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well there you go. That's Cobra Commander Casey. Hope you're all paying attention. Retro Casey. Then we've got an unknown code word, but we know what it is because the listing says it. Says what it is. At 9864, it is Snow Serpent. So this will be the retro Snow Serpent. I'm personally, I just assume it's going to be like a much lighter blue secondaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you agree on that one, Pat? Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And actually, I would expect some secondaries to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right? There's some stuff that that one didn't come with that the original one, you know, it didn't quite look like the original.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that they've probably planned it out to make it look very very close to the original Snow
I'd
Serpent.
like it if they do what they did with the original figure and was it like the white is like off color, isn't it? It's like it's like the white on the body is different to the fur white, if you know what I mean. So there's two very distinct colors going on. I'd like it if they did that, like if they stuck really close to the Pantone, the vintage figure.
Yeah, because the body was more of a gray. Really.
Yeah,
it was a very light gray.
100%.
Yeah, so I could see them definitely doing that. Like
and then
putting them next to each other, they'll look right.
And it's also very different too. Like that is worth it then, isn't it? To a degree of them doing a repaint re-release thing.
Yep.
The other thing I'll throw in there as well is I think they might throw in some retro accessories. I think we might get the backpack. I think we might get the little
rocket launcher
missile thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we might get those things possibly. I don't know.
They've been a little shy on backpacks lately, so we'll see.
What is it with the backpack shot? Yeah, I'm specifically with the Dreadnoks, which is upsetting me a little bit. I'm hoping that we get retro Dreadnoks with backpacks at some point. I really do. But
yeah, the Dreadnought choice was weird though, because you're dropping a backpack and adding in an accessory whenever their hands are already full.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, storage goes out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And much like most of the dreadnoughts when they're in bars, they go out the window.
Oh,
you know, but it doesn't matter. Too late.
good. I was like
You had your
focusing
chance.
on the storage. They're stored in a bar. Like I thought that it's always there.
This episode has turned into dad jokes. Right. So then we have the next one. Someone's already called it, and it is pretty. This is on the nose, in my opinion. Oki is a little octopus. What do you think it is, Pat?
Oh, I have no idea.
You must have some idea. They've name only released it alongside Snow Serpent.
I don't know.
Okay, then I'll just
these things are just are.
I'm pulling.
Let me guess. Is it eel?
Yes, Cobra eels. Absolute.
You
just looked, didn't you?
The next slide.
Yeah, good move.
So they're code names. I don't really get into it.
Sorry, just a minute. I love you so much. Okay, yeah. So eels, pretty on the nose. This one, Oki being a little octopus. Interesting for them to do that. But this one, I can't for the life of me think what they're going to do any different. It's effectively already there as a retro figure. So unless they make, I've got a feeling this is the one in the wave that has very little done to it. Like Recondo is effectively a repaint. This one might just be the reissue on a card.
They're going to drop that deco on the backpack for sure. That is like the new logo of the eels. That'll be gone for sure. So it would just be a black backpack. I'm kind of expecting the backpack to be a little bit bulkier and different.
Okay.
That's what I would expect. And then
like the one on the card art, which is bigger than 3 eels combined.
Right.
I always loved that artwork, but then when I kind of looked back at it and really studied it, that backpack is like this, and they're just like hiding and like behind it. Basically, it's so interesting. It's weird little perspective thing going on there, I think. But yeah, I could see them maybe doing something different with the backpack, maybe. But I don't know. This might be this might be the one figure in the wave that is effectively a reissue, as opposed to where they've got to save something in the kind of budget, maybe. Do you know what I mean? When you like eels as a retro carded figure, to me screams people really loved that figure because it was so super popular and sold out immediately. More people might want it, so this is a way to get it without it being too different.
Yeah, I could even just see it being like a little bit less deco, like you see there on his wrist or on his forearm, I should say. There's several colors in there. You could just drop some of that, and it would look a little more retro. And it would. This was a deluxe figure, right? He did cost a little bit more originally, didn't he?
No, he was. We originally thought he was going to be deluxe. And it turned out that he was a standard price. He was an exclusive, Amazon exclusive.
I can't remember.
Yeah, he was an Amazon exclusive and sold ridiculously well. So I think this one to me screams reissue to get more people to have army builder eels, basically.
Yeah.
To get eels up inside you. Right. Then Azrael, we have no clue, but we do know that Beachhead is brainy. So Azrael, we don't know who that is. That's pretty much it on that one. But Beachhead is going to be retro brainy. And this one's I'm excited to see because they're going to go way more vintage on this one, Pat. Even though I do love that Beachhead original figure. I thought it was wicked. This one's going to definitely probably tick more boxes for the vintage kind of guys, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm really kind of curious what this one's going to look like. How much do you think it's going to look like the Cobra Island one?
Probably not very much. I think a new secondary will happen. I think they'll probably give him very retro related accessories and weapons. And I think he'll have a new head sculpt, honestly. I think they'll do that kind of head sculpt with the how like it kind of like it's almost like a line halving the
like it's not. I agree. I could definitely see it. I could definitely see it being exactly like this. It's almost like not a balaclava. It's almost like he has the full face cut out, and then he has a hood thing
that
up
pulls
over
up his mouth.
Maybe they'll go with that. They could do that. Make it be something like the diver figure that we saw earlier today, the action, whatever they call him, not action sailor,
recon diver.
Action, yes, something like that, where it's all cut out and then just have a mask that goes up over the bottom. I think that would look cool.
I'm still excited to see it, but and I think this is going to be one of those ones where, in terms of the retro series, well, Duke, Scarlet, we're getting a Recondo. There's a bonus with that one because it's the repaint of the Tiger Force one. At the moment, the retro line to me is quite a win. It's a bit of a win at the moment. It's like an extra element, but it's all figures that are like legitimately worth doing, as opposed to what the retro series was prior, which was very like half. Like there wasn't. Baroness was effectively just the same figure, but a different.
Right.
Like slightly different in the way the black was applied and so on and so forth. Destro was effectively the same. Lady J at least had different accessories and a different deco. And Gung Ho was the kind of standout because it was a completely new figure with new accessories. But, a lot, and Snake Eyes was great. He's still on my desk, actually. But Crimson Guard's great, but it's like, Zartan and Storm Shadow, similar kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like
those to me, talking Zartan, Storm Shadow, and Snake Eyes, those are still figures forthcoming to me.
Wow.
I've not seen any of those, and it turns out that Crimson Guard shipping in a separate case. So when I saw those, Storm Shadow or Snake Eyes was not there with him, or maybe he was. It's not like conclusive that he was though. So I don't know. I mean, those figures, I don't know. At this point, I'm expecting to see them at Ross or Ollie's or something, maybe even next year.
But at least you get them cheaper at that point, I guess.
That is true.
The other thing I will say though, like that, I feel like the retro series now is more serious, is what I'm getting at. I feel like it's way more like, okay, there's a good, it's an outlet for some people who maybe don't like one version of a figure. Do you know what I mean? It's like it gives you that kind of option to then do, well, here's another version of it that you might prefer. And I'm kind of like excited about that, weirdly. So okay. So that is everything. Rough and Ready, we know are the 60th anniversary listings, but we don't know. We can't talk as to what they are, unfortunately. So yeah, that is a lot of stuff, isn't it, mate?
It is a lot of stuff, yeah, and a lot of everything that I will forget very quickly.
I will say as well, this is purely speculative, but obviously, when you've got like the Vamp around the corner, right? I mean, how long are we going to be waiting for the Stinger? How long are we going to be waiting for the Tiger Sting? They've got to be pretty like on the heels, haven't they?
Their repaints so far have been honestly a little bit too close together, if you ask me, on some of them.
Yeah.
Dusty and Dusty, maybe that figure's not selling so well because it's too close together.
Good point. The Bat and the Python Bat, which came out at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying. Outback was a similar one, wasn't he? Like that. I feel like we didn't get an Outback Night Force reveal yet because they, it was one after the other.
It's not really giving people that option who come later into the line to have a chance at that character because they both came out already anyway.
Yeah. In any case, what I'm getting at is that, like Blossom VEH, Scrappy, TNS Buttercup, that's one that I can specifically say that is like, no one's going to get that. No one's going to understand what's going on there. I mean, it is the most random, let's do a completely different designation out of nowhere, and no one's going to get it. So I'll leave that one out for now. But when I'm talking Blossom and Scrappy, I think we can probably throw in some repaints in there. I think the Stinger might be around the corner for one of those. I don't know, by the way. This is all purely speculative. No winking. And what was the other one I was going to say? Maybe, because it is an HB, by the way, HB Blossom. Could that be an exclusive? Could that be Target? Could we be looking at the Tiger Paw with a different character? Do you know what I mean? Like, just throwing that out there too. If we've got a ferret around the corner, do we have a Tiger Paw around the corner? If we've got
I think the answer is just yes. I mean, for any of this stuff, is like the obvious repaint, yes. especially whenever they're spending the money on a vehicle. Like, I think that there's less of a chance that we'll get the figure repaint than there is of the vehicle repaint. The vehicles seem like bigger and more of an expensive thing. I think that we would have gotten a coil cycle if people hadn't reacted so harshly to it. You know what I mean? Like, most of the stuff we're going to get a repaint of for vehicles, and it'll be fast.
Leon said there aren't enough vehicles yet to rinse the repaint so close together. Also, each faction shouldn't have every vehicle. I get what you're saying, Leon. One thing I will say, though, in this particular sense is with the Vamp and the Stinger, for example, those two, I think that's perfectly fine because it's a retool. It's not just a repaint. You're getting like, it's like, to me, yes, they're similar. We've spoken about this in the past, Pat, when we talked about the Vamp and all of its different versions. The repaints or the retools and the repaints really do enough to make them their own vehicles, in my opinion.
They do. But I really agree with the core, I think, of what he's saying, because I know that a long time ago, it felt like just in customizing in the early 2000s, it felt like somebody was doing everything in
every sub team. Yeah,
and everything, like any vehicle was going into every sub team and in Crimson. And it was just like, well, it doesn't feel as special whenever it's everything Python Patrol and everything.
There's been that there's a funny like psychology about this, I think, but there's been that kind of trend to look at what has come before in that vintage period only.
Yeah.
Like the vintage period, like was it 82 to 94, basically. We'll say that period of time, right? That is like a locked, vacuum sealed period for G.I. Joe, it would appear, that then is like, you get just out of that and then everything has to draw from it, rather than, and yes, new things are created in the brand, but they never have the same impact that some of the new things had. And that's not to say everything new that happened didn't have the same impact. There are things that happen later in the brand that are really friggin' cool, that we really enjoyed and are great additions to the line.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. But you're right. There's that thing of like hearkening back and then applying that process of what the 80s designers and guys were doing to the line that they had, rather than thinking, okay, let's think about what they would have done in the future, carrying on. Do you know what I mean? Like if that era had continued another 10 years, for example, right? And they still kept churning O-ring figures out in vehicles, what sorts of things would we have? We wouldn't have harkening back to, we wouldn't be homaging Tiger Force. You'd be creating new sublines and new things.
Yeah.
So there's that thing, isn't it, where you've got this vacuum sealed period that just keeps getting drawn from because it's its own little ecosystem, basically.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think that whenever they're drawing from it, it's probably more appealing to choose something that was repainted in that period.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're going to be able to get two items that have that vintage appeal to them. So, what are you going to do? A Ferret or Dark Lawns Evader?
Leon, this is a good point as well, following up from what you said before. Agree. I take a Vamp and a Stinger together. I just don't want a Python Ram or a TF Trouble Bubble. And I agree on that one. I don't think we'll see that personally, but I think you're right. I think there's a line that you would cross at some point here. And I think Python Ram and Tiger Force Trouble Bubble are definitely a line crossed, in my opinion. They're just too, other than the Dreadnought, let's not take Python out of it. The Dreadnought Ground Assault, I'd give you.
Yeah.
Right? But a Python Ram might just be too much, I think. It would be like, we don't need that. We've got it's like a Python Ferret, for example. That would make more sense to me. A Tiger Force Trouble Bubble wouldn't make sense, but only from an I don't consider the what was it called? The green Hiss tank that was in the SDCC set. Not Hyena.
I can't remember the name of it.
It's got a weird name. I've completely forgotten it. It's like a oh God, that's going to kill me. Someone tell me what it is, please. I've completely forgotten what it's called. But I don't consider that a, I think that's crossing the line, because coming back to the iconography word, Tyrone, this is specifically for Tyrone, coming back to the iconography, Chimera, thank you, Figure Six Pack. The Chimera Hiss Tank, the green one. For me, it's like it's Cobra, and it's like iconically Cobra. So just to paint it green, I don't know. It just didn't feel like it made sense.
I really think that they were developing something for Shattered Glass and then just didn't go in that direction. That's been my feeling on that for a long time.
Yeah, big time. That's yeah, interesting. That is an interesting theory right there, mate. But yeah, you mean for the Chimera period, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because that was talked a lot, wasn't it, when we were at cons and through the club? And
yeah, it looks like that set to me was take the good stuff and make it bad, take the bad stuff and make it good, which to me isn't really all that interesting.
You mean faction, you don't mean quality, right?
Correct. Faction. Yeah.
No, I know what you're saying, 100%, and I agree with you on that one. Thank you, guys. Yeah, Chimera, much appreciated, Leon and Figure Six Pack for filling me in on that one. I just couldn't remember it, but I agree, Leon. I think there's a line that shouldn't be crossed, and I think the TF Trouble Bubble would be I'd be like, nah, no. The Trouble Bubble is too. It's just screams Cobra to me. Anyway, last couple of things on this before we move on. These are the name only reveals so far that we know of officially: Alpine Jinx, Doc, Retro Beachhead, Night Creeper Torch, Cobra Ferret, Norgahide, Retro Eels, Retro Snow Serpent, Iron Grenadiers, and Raptor. Now, all of those have designations that we've managed to attach to, bar Jinx and Doc. So this is kind of coming back to what I was saying previously on what I think Jinx and Doc might be attached to that Night Creeper Torch wave. Not just because of that guess, but also they were, I want to say they weren't far apart in the name reveals really either, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe Doc could be Boo Boo. There's my dad joke for the day.
How long have you been holding that one in the chamber? That's absolutely genius. Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, Doc's Boo Boo. Yeah, I'm not going to hazard a guess on the others, but anyway, just to kind of give a nice visual aid for everybody. And the next one, the next visual is all the renders that we've been privy to officially as well. So we've got Nightforce Ripcord, Glenda, Nightforce Crazy Legs, obviously in the HasLab, Airborne, Quick Kick, and then of course you've got Retro Duke, Retro Scarlet, Retro Recondo, the 60th Action Soldier and Recon Diver, and then you've got SMS with Techno Viper, Black and Red, regular Techno Viper, and Big Boa. So again, kind of makes sense that Airborne, Quick Kick, Techno Viper, and Big Boa would be in the same, wave, considering they've been revealed at the same time in renders. So things do line up a little bit with the renders now. There's a definite pattern going on.
Nice. Okay.
There you go. That's it then for that. Next up, and well, finally, it's not necessarily news, but we are going to give you a quick update on the Super7 Mother Ship. I have a video for this one. It's just a bumper. So the Cobra Mother Ship, I should have told you that, Pat, so you didn't run away and try and make a cup of tea or something. The Cobra Mother Ship, amazing. Now, this has obviously this is going to be something we talk about every week now, leading up to the end of it. What are your thoughts, mate? Because unfortunately, we're still quite far back, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it needs to get some momentum, I think, in order to get there. It really does.
Yeah, we're at 25.
I don't know. I mean, if it was closer to 50, it's going to be that inverted bell curve as always. Of funding. So most of the funding at the beginning and at the end, it just functions a little bit different because you do pay ahead of time on this one.
Yeah, big time. I would say that I was fairly low level confident at the start, especially when it jumped to like 14. It jumped quite a dramatic amount at one point, and I was thinking, oh yeah, maybe it's got the legs. At this point, I don't know. I think maybe it might get to like 60, 65%. Even with the huge, that kind of at the end, like the last couple of, maybe the last week or so, or the last few days, we might see that kind of like influx right at the end. I don't know if it's going to make it to the 4K though, and I'm a little concerned about that. They did show a couple more. Well, this is exactly where it is at the moment, 1431. I don't think it's changed since I took the screenshot a few hours ago. Could you just double check for me, Pat? Would you be able to, or in the comments, let me know if it has changed, because I have no clue right now. But oh, now I've got to multitask myself because a message just popped up. Okay, no, I'm leaving that. Yeah, so it closes December 11th. Genuinely, Pat, do you think it's going to make it to the 4K?
Not really, to be honest. I'm not that optimistic. It's got 1431 right now, so
yeah,
we're still sitting at the same spot.
Yeah, and it's kind of stalled in a sense. Like it got to like, I think it's been at like 1425 to 1431 for about like over a week now. So yeah, it's difficult because you're right. I think the optics hurt it in the paying for it up front is difficult for a lot of people at this time. There's a lot of stuff out as well. Like it's, you know, you're competing.
The timing of this one is really tough because it's coming during that time where there's a lot of money going out to G.I. Joe already, right before the holidays, and you have to put that money out, and it's a larger amount than what the HasLabs have been because, I mean, I'm not just going to buy this. I'm going to buy all of the supplemental stuff that they have to go with it. And already at $500, that's a lot more than what we paid for the Sky Striker with a few figures. So I see the difficulty that they are having getting this one to launch.
I like it. Sorry, is that a pun? Yeah, I like it. Leon says, such a shame it's a beauty. It is. It is.
Yeah.
Charlotte says, so far beyond anything I could ever justify financially, but that's par for the course when it comes to Super 7. That and paying up front hurts optics, says Tyrone. The last of a massive round of crowdfunding projects this year was always going to struggle. That's a good point, actually, Leon. And Future Fortress Maximus says, yeah, I think the price plus shipping was too much for a lot of people. I think that's really what's happened there, definitely. Dinah says, it's sad if this doesn't fund. It's the first Big Joe crowdfund that does. Yes, from a licensee, but still, I just think it wasn't exactly the best choice, glorious as it is. I think they have gone, I think it would have worked in a different time period, I mean, which is a shame. I think it would have worked in, like, you know, the problem is there isn't going to be a point in the year now where you're going to have a nice clear landing strip, pun intended, for putting a project like this out. You know, like you're not going to have that, you know,
because it's overcrowded.
Over crowdfunded. Yes. It gets worse, mate. God, the dad jokes have been terrible today. I love it. This has been the best episode ever, Pat. But yeah, I think it is a shame if it doesn't. And but again, I'm not gonna completely lose faith at this point. I'm gonna keep sticking with it, and we're gonna do updates every week, no matter what. All right, Pat. Even if it says 1429 next week and it's gone down somehow, we're still going to do an update. Now, they also posted their tier 1 unlock, kind of like a reiteration that you get those front guns as well. I don't think it's going to make it to tier 1. If it can fund, I'll be happy. I'll be happy that it funds. But in terms, like, I don't think it's going to get to any of the stretch goals. If it does, great. But that's a tall ask.
It is.
One thing I did like was they showed some of those tampos in the cockpit. I like this shot as well. It kind of really brightens it up a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, are those stickers or tampos?
I think they're stickers. I think it's because they're related to that. I could be wrong, but that's what the post was saying. So maybe some of them are tampos, and these are stickers that are separate, because I can't see the same stickers that are being used there. So maybe that is the case.
I would imagine that they're stickers. That's just my guess.
Yeah. Anyway, it does look really cool. I do like it. Maybe it's just the Cobra logos they put on the seats. No. Don't even have the Cobra logo. I don't know what that's about then, because they posted both those images together as almost like, you know, these where you put the stickers, but maybe it's a different sticker set. Maybe that's the base sticker set you get with the base offering, which is probably what it is that we're seeing there, and that is the tier 1 sticker sheet. So
that makes sense to me. Yeah,
that makes more sense. Sorry guys, just being an idiot as per. I do love this thing. It looks wicked. I love the little details of fun. I don't know. It's a shame it won't fund. And by the way, I watched the video of their panel, and it's actually bigger than I thought it was. I thought it was big, but they picked it up, and it's like Captain America's shield. It's massive. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can, it's one of those things you have to see in person to really get an idea as to what it is. And I think that's the problem they're having, is portraying the size of this thing.
I like that they're going all out with the details and everything, because one of the things I don't like about expensive stuff is if you're going to have something expensive, just make it a little more expensive and go all out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like super cost cutting. I wouldn't want this to be like, well, we would have had the globe in there, but we wanted to stick to $500. Like, it needs to be all or nothing, and they've really gone for it all. I think that it would have been nice if we would have had some O-ring figures from them already, to get some momentum on that, and to have like an understanding of the quality. I think that they may have hurt themselves with some of the images that they showed at first, because I saw a lot of people asking if they were going to be straight arm figures.
Yeah.
And that's not the case, but they went with a solid resin print instead of building the pieces separately and then assembling it.
Right.
And people were kind of confused. And in fact, I still don't know what the final figure is going to look like.
I don't think they do yet, do they?
No,
they've got the final figure yet. I think this is a good point that Sharlock's made, actually. I think if O-Ring hadn't been left to peter out by Hasbro, and the transition of that line had been better advertised, it would have had a better chance. They didn't do Super 7 any favors. I kind of agree with that a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like the kind of almost O-Ring had a little bit of a sour taste left in our mouths, really, with that one. A bitter taste, bitter or sour, whatever one you prefer or don't prefer. It was a bit of a, I don't know. It felt like there was so much it could have been, and it just wasn't, and they really didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, there's been several points in history where the O-ring collectors are kind of told, hey, if you buy this, eventually we'll get to what you really want.
Right. I've heard that a few times, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that just, we've done it before. We're a little tired of that. We're burned out.
Surely it makes sense to just make the things that people are wanting.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, make the things that people are going to go nuts for.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell any of those O-ring sets are going to outperform something we've never seen before.
Right. I agree. I mean, it was made sense to me to make Storm Shadow, so you have a nice, clean-looking Storm Shadow. Like, some of them made sense, but none of them were home run ideas. They were just, rehashing what you have here. You can have it again.
Yeah.
Without the convenience of just being able to walk into the store and buy it.
Yeah. Yep. Anywho, I believe that's it for our update, unless Pat can tell me what the next slide is.
I will do that. Just a second.
Sorry, I do this every time, but we have to, there's a lot of slides.
No, we're on to shout outs. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's get into shout outs then. Yeah, sorry, I've also got to do this. It takes ages.
Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and of course showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding.
Yo, okay then. So shout-outs. Pat, take us through your shout-outs, please.
Well, first of all, shout out to Philip as always. I do owe him a bit of a video still, so I'm working on that. It'll take a little while for me to do that. But then I have a bunch of other shout-outs that I'm going to have to refer back to what I sent you earlier that I don't forget anybody. First of all, I went to Assembly Required, which had the Dreadnought theme of them writing Dis Assembly Required on it. And this shirt was from Mark II Design. Thank you.
Nice.
He gave me this shirt. So
that's lovely stuff.
Yeah, shout out to him. And then I also have other shout outs from Assembly Required. Brian Kaufman, Brian Sauer and their team, including Travis Weber, Dak, and Steve Kelting. Michael C. Hill was there. Shout out to him. He wrote Cold Slither, and I got the chance to sit down and talk with him for quite some time. Incredibly nice guy. So if you get the chance to meet him at a convention, definitely show up and talk with Michael C. Hill.
Brilliant.
Josh Blaylock was there, also a very accessible person. Nice to see him around again in the G.I. Joe community and talking about things. It was nice to hear him say Zanya, because I was able to hear how the guy who created the character pronounces the name. It's Zanya.
Zanya. Interesting. Yeah. I've been saying Zanya this entire time.
So have I. I've been saying Zanya, but whenever Josh Blaylock says Zanya, I have to think it's probably Zanya.
That's Zanya, man. From now on, I'm saying Zanya. Brilliant.
Yeah. So shout out also to Joe Declassified, which I'm a part of, but also there was Chris Murray and Dan Music, and many more people who like to remain nameless. That's kind of the spirit of it. If you want to be nameless, you still get to show your stuff, and we have it there at the convention. So shout out to some of the people there. I got to see some really cool stuff this year. And Ben Conway and the Skeletron crew.
Word up.
Call sign Longbow. They gave me a really sweet deal on some vintage stuff.
Awesome.
So I'm happy about that. Chicken Fried Toys also gave me some deals on some new stuff.
Cools.
Talking Joe with Tim and Mark. I got to sit down and have dinner with them.
Aww.
Also had dinner at the same time with David Allen. So shout out to him as well. Awesome. After Action Report with Roger and Josh. HCC 788.
Brilliant.
Order of Battle with Jason and Joel.
Cool.
Rage and Spoon, Hawk Sanders.
Aww.
And then I also want to shout out to everyone who did not comment. If you did not make a comment on the custom that I brought to Assembly Required, this shout out's for you. Which means I just shouted out everybody at Assembly Required because nobody made any comments on it at all.
Oh, poor.
And then also a shout out to whoever it is that has my coat, because who knows where that is. Somewhere my coat is in Iowa somewhere. I don't know. I lost it. So shout out to the person wearing my coat right now.
Probably a Dreadnought stole it.
I think I left it at a restaurant. So I've still got to do some follow-up calls. And a shout out to the jerk who broke Killer Queen, because that was disappointing. Don't know who it is, but we went down to play Killer Queen. It was off. Can you believe it?
Son of a bee.
Yeah.
Literally. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite experiences at AR. Not just playing that game, which is, again, that's a sub level of the favorite things. Because I remember playing it last year, and there was just random people playing us, and it was so much fun. It was great. It was brilliant. So yeah, massive shout out to Brian, the team, everyone. I miss you guys. I wish I'd been up in there.
And I apologize if I forgot anyone. I was going mentally through the room, trying to remember exactly where people were positioned, but maybe you were walking around, and so I don't have you associated with a spot in the room. Yeah, I may have forgotten somebody, and apologies for that. I missed the Joe Customs guys. There wasn't a big representation of Joe Customs there this year, and I would like to see them again at Assembly Required.
Someone did say something in the comments a little while ago. Maybe it was earlier on, and they said they had fun hanging out with you. So I don't know who that was. You might have not shouted them out, and then they felt
no, bad. Yeah. See, I hope that isn't the case. Yeah, I did talk to a lot of people.
Good.
Now I want to know who it was.
It was well at the beginning. It was like 500 comments ago, I think. Anyway, awesome. Great shout outs there, Pat. I'm glad you had a good time, mate. I do miss it. It's one of the best cons for Joe I can't big it up enough. And I was just gutted we couldn't go because Mark came all the way from blimmin' sunny London, from the UK. He's not, I don't even think he's from London, but he came all the way from the UK, and I couldn't blimmin' come and see him and say hi. It sucks, really sucks. Anyway, we'll get Mark back on the show again very soon. Mark is talking to you now. He said, "Pat, what was your custom?" Question mark.
I kind of cheated and just brought the custom that I had done for. It was for Cobra Convergence last year.
Yeah, the manga one.
This year, it was definitely an articulated point video where I did a custom of a Cobra character from like 86 or 87. Can't remember which, but it was in the manga. So it was a manga character. What?
Zanya.
No, right. It was
Imagine if Zanya was in the manga.
yeah,
Sorry,
it
carry
was
on.
Bomber Jack. So if you don't know the
Yes.
character of Cobra, Bomber Jack, he does exist in that 1982 through 94 bubble that we were talking about. And very few people are familiar with Bomber Jack. So I covered that in an articulated points episode with Philip, where he made a different manga character. So that was a lot of fun, and I just thought that I would bring it because I was hoping just to talk about the manga and stuff like that, but the discussion never happened.
Shame. Awesome, man. I want to, yeah, I feel bad that no one talks about your custom, though. Mark said, I literally escaped a massive storm in the UK. Well, I'm glad you did, mate. Very, very glad you avoided that. Diana says, AR always looks like such a great show. I want to be able to make next year. Same. It is. Same. Definitely. It's worth it, Diana. It really is. Probably one of the best shows I've ever been to for Joe. It's like more intimate than like a Joe Con sort of vibe, but it's just, I don't know. I love it so much. It's so much fun. And yeah, going to down the street and playing arcade games in a bar is so much fun beyond measure.
Was it Prime? His name is an Optimus Prime name that I talked to at AR, and I kind of feel bad. He won. His custom was awesome. Shout out to him for a really cool Xandar custom.
Travis has written, hi Travis. Shout out to Travis. Brian sleeps with it. Is he talking about your jacket?
Oh, maybe so.
Or your custom. I can't tell which one. Travis, tell us what you're referring to, because that's hilarious either way.
Yeah, they worked hard to put on that intimate, fun show, and they did it again. Like
he just wrote yes. He just wrote yes. Custom and jacket, and now owned by Brian Sauer, and he's sleeping with them.
Like the Cold Slither stuff was so good.
Did you hear my special thing I did for the show?
I did. I enjoyed that.
Notice you didn't shout that out.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't shout out. You weren't there, so you don't deserve a shout out for AR. You need to go, is what you need to do.
Oh, Charlotte Prime, that's me. I was stoked when Xandar got recognized.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was really good. It was good. He made it color change and everything. It was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, he was saying, was it Cabbage Patch Zartan? Brilliant. I'll just quickly say, while you're talking about assembly required, WordBurglar and myself did a little collaboration for the little demo CD that Brian did for the show. He was handing out to people there at the show. And basically what it was we did a little kind of riff on Cold Slither. So basically I did the beat, utilizing some of the sample from that particular song, and WordBurglar did a wicked little verse and chorus, and we threw it on a little demo CD, and it went on with the guys did the Cold Slither remake as well, which is really cool. So they did the Cold Slither remake song on one side, and we did the rap remix, the hip hop remix on the other. So yeah, if you haven't, I'm not sure like how you're going to get to hear that. I think it's pretty much only for the people at the show, but we will be working on polishing it up and making it really cool for a possible release in the future. So you will get to hear it eventually if you haven't attended the show. But that was a lot of fun to do.
As I understand, because one of my other favorite things from the show was the Cold Slither t-shirt. I love that. I ended up buying 2 of them, so I can wear one out and keep one nice.
Nice.
And I think that once they finish doing an inventory of them, they'll probably still have some online. So if you missed that, or you liked it, or you start seeing those around, I would definitely grab one of those, because it's a really cool shirt. It has like the tour dates and stuff on the back.
Wicked.
There are all kinds of fun references. It's excellent.
Yeah, definitely. Go all the links in the description for Codename Iowa on Facebook, Instagram, and so on and so forth. Go check them out, and you'll be able to find all the information right there. And also codenameiowa.com. Just go straight to the website. Leon says, I think it's pronounced Xandar. You're very funny, Leon, today. Very funny indeed. I've been enjoying your comments today. Renegade Biker wants a full course video. It's going to happen. It's going to have to happen soon, isn't it? We're going to have to do that. It's going to be like food and G.I. Joe combined. Yeah, we'll work it out, mate. Cool. And Sherlock's going back next year, so you get to see Sherlock there as well. Brilliant.
Excellent. Yes, he should. Yeah, I could tell he was having a good time, and it was nice to see him there.
Brilliant. Okay. My shout
Don't
out.
do as good of a custom so that I have a chance next year.
Yeah. just back up your custom. Dial it back, mate. Come on. Shout out to the family, UK and US based, and of course Kate and Phoebes, who are right next to me at the moment. Yeah, from the HQ before we change HQs. Yeah, we're moving. Cannot wait. Really excited. We've got closing next week, and then once that's done, we can move in. So amazing stuff. Can't wait to set up the full force HQ, you know, like have an actual proper HQ, a proper studio, some cool like toys in the background. It's going to be awesome. Diana says hi. Kate can't, she's got headphones on. She can't hear anything that's going on right now. I'll tell her she said hi, Diana, no worries. Anyway, shout out to the fam. Shout out to Brian, who we've already shouted out, but he gets a face as well. So shout out to Brian. Oh, thank you, Leon. Very appreciative. Are you on a delay? Yeah. She says hi back. Leon, thank you so much for the super chat, mate. Really appreciate that. Cheers, fella. Love the banter. It's been fun. Today's been a good episode, Pat, hasn't it?
It has been fun, yes. We're almost running into me needing to leave for work.
I'm so sorry. And also, Marcus said on the upcoming full course video, making a lasagna. Or a lasagna, as it would actually, yeah, they both work. Fantastic, Mark. You're an absolute pun genius. And thank you, Leon, for the super chat, mate. We really do appreciate it. And all your comments have been absolute gold today. So thank you very much. Thank you to everyone in the comments. Love you guys. Travis as well says, Chris and Kate were missed. Oh, thank you, Travis. We love you, mate. And hopefully we'll see you guys next year. Anyway, a couple more things. A Toy Kind of Mood. Travis Moody has done a great review of General Hawk classified figure. I think that's got to be. I think he's the first person to have it in hand. Honestly, amazing stuff. Mm-hmm. So go check that out. Link in the description. And also just check Toy Kind of Mood out. Anyway, they're great. I really love all of the content they put out there. They're good guys. Big shout out to the team, to Travis and the rest of you guys. Amazing stuff that you do. Also, this happened this morning. Yes, Pat, I posted an interview with ex-Hasbro legend Alex Russo. Shout out to Alex for jumping on and chatting with me. Now, Alex was the ex-G.I. Joe staff writer from like 86 to 91, and then again 99 to 2001. So he had like two very like different periods of G.I. Joe to deal with there, Pat. But have you seen the interview yet by chance? I know you only knew about it this morning.
My sleep has been weird since I've been back. I had so many times where I had to go to sleep for 3 hours and go back to work since I've been home. Like I took Monday off for travel, so I worked Monday. My normal day to work was Tuesday, so I worked almost a double Tuesday, I think.
Right.
And then I had my normal day off Wednesday, so I worked that day. And then my other day was Thursday, and now it brings me to Friday. I've worked every day. And so like I just keep on having like 3 hours of sleep, wake up and do stuff, 3 hours of sleep. I think I've slept 2 or 3 times since Wednesday. Yeah, I'm not sure. No, so I've not watched it. I've not watched it.
And now you've got to go to blooming work now. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, and then crash at some point when I get home. It'll be
well, anyway, it was really good, and I think you'll really enjoy it because there's a lot of like little things that he talks about in there, including the reason that I even had the hookup with Alex in the first place is because our realtor, John Blanchett, is an actual named character in the G.I. Joe universe, thanks to Alex, who obviously was putting all the sorts of friends and relatives and people as names in the cards and the file cards back in the day, which is brilliant. Amazing. So much fun. So yeah, go check out that for all the details because there's a real serendipitous whole story about that, which is great. And also Alex's whole time in the brand sounds really interesting. And we talked about a lot of different aspects of his job. It's really, really cool. So yeah, check that out if you're fans of it. Anyway. Apparently Toy News International is showing Ripper in hand. Thank you, Leon. There's some breaking news right at the end. So just imagine we've talked about it. There you go. Done. Brilliant. That's it, I think. That's it. Shout out to all of you guys in the comments, to everyone, all of our supporters, everyone that were patrons, all of you guys. I've hopefully got a Intel Live on Sunday. I'll try and work that out for you guys. And Pat, mate, thanks for jumping on as always, pal. Really appreciate it.
Always fun to be on. Happy to be back.
Big time. It was a good episode. I really enjoyed today. I know it's way too long, but that's what you get. And one more thing, Diana Davis, 301 next week. So we'll be talking issue 301 if you want to. We could do like a little brief chat about 301 if you want to do that, Pat, next week.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I'm probably going to have to actually read it. I'm so far behind on comics. I think the last one I read was like 155.
You're going to have to read 155 and a half.
Read 156.
All the way through
I have a little bit of reading to do.
All the way through to 301.
The comic shops around here have been bad, really bad. That's another story for another time.
We'll do that on the Comics Burst. Right then, thank you very much for joining us, guys. As always, stay fresh cheese bags. You know the drill. You're right, Diana. There's a lot of covers to choose from in 301. My goodness. We'll be back for lots more content very soon. We've got Let's Talk Classified Naugahyde around the corner. Hopefully another monthly, but it'll probably be more likely going to be December. But we'll see. We'll try and squeeze one out in November. And lots more other cool stuff. Interview with Hasbro again. We've got Emily and Lenny on the show very soon. Again, for part 2 of that interview. Cannot wait for that. All very exciting. Pat, see you on the next one, buddy. Stay fresh cheese bags. And as always, after 3, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3.
Full force.
Amazing. See you later.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.